Welcome back, everyone, to the living room. My name is Joe Young, and last week we had an Easter Sunday message all about the resurrection. And instead of it just being a quick history lesson on what happened and when it happened and why it happened, I wanted to explore in that message what can we take away from the event of the resurrection. And very simply, just to summarize that message of last week, I found that the most meaningful way I can look at the resurrection for me is that Jesus made his sacrifice and resurrected so that I could become a holy and better person. Not that I'm there yet, but the meaning of the resurrection is not complete until you and I take up this personal pledge and determination to become men and women who are holy, who are restored versions of ourselves. And then we need to briefly look at what does that mean to be holy, right? And many times we just look to certain, I guess, activities to reassure us that we are being holy, or maybe a certain pastor, preacher, religious authority to give us the thumbs up that we're being holy. But truly, what it actually means is we are becoming people of true love. We are becoming people who can love the world the way God loves the world. Love the world with a parental feeling, a parental heart. And I think that's just right to the bone. It's so clear. It almost gets rid of the need for having to be in a religion of any kind. We just need to pursue the heart of being people of true love. That's the journey we are on this earth. And so, on that tip of what it means to be a person of parental love, what it means to be a person of love, I wanted to expand on a facet of that in this message. And this is a message for myself, in a way. It's like this is convicting me. And the big focus of this message here is I need to become a person who is interested in the growth of other people. Let's become interested in other people's growth journey. How do I grow them? Now, that may sound a certain way, like you have to be kind of like some high and mighty person, but let me demystify this idea for you. I heard a story about a medical student who was failing, and he went to his professor asking for advice, and the professor said, "Look, if you want to change your grades around for real, start tutoring." And that really confused the student because he thought, well, I'm a failing student. Wouldn't you want the smartest, best performing students to be the tutors? But he said, look, when you start tutoring, you're going to learn it better. Lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. He went from failing to acing classes, sailed right through medical school, and to this day is a renowned doctor in the medical field. And he credited that major turnaround to that one piece of advice: start tutoring now. You don't have to be an A student to start tutoring. You just have to be someone interested in helping others. And along that line, I knew a guitar teacher. This was way back when I was a teenager. I just started teaching lessons. And one of my, I guess you could call him a coworker, he was a teacher in the room next to my little booth. I heard the parents and the students just loving this guy's lessons. He was a great teacher. He really inspired the kids to practice even at the beginning stages, which is really hard time to get, some students to practice is quite hard, like pulling teeth sometimes. But he was an excellent and effective teacher. The parents loved him. And I kind of asked him, I said, wow, Mick, you're doing a great job. Like, um, how do you do what you're doing? He's like, well, I'm not really sure. I asked him, well, what do you study, and how long have you been playing guitar? And we were just chit chatting, and he said, well, I've only been playing for 2 years, but I just make sure I'm a little bit ahead of the student, and I'm okay. So, Mick was only a year or two, literally just not that many steps. I mean, he was a good player, so can't knock it, but not all that advanced, not light years ahead of the students. And he jokingly said, yeah, as long as I'm a little bit ahead of the student, it's okay. And I think we should take that approach with our spiritual life. You don't need to be proclaimed as masterful to start helping others on the growth journey, on the whatever stumbling block or whatever phase a person is trying to get to next, whether that's parenting advice, working out the marriage that's on the rocks, getting a better sense for how to connect to the feeling of God in their life, whatever it is. Can we help them get to that next step? And I'm no master, but let me try. Wouldn't that be a cool culture to be creating in our neighborhood? Check this out. I think Jesus's first disciples were just like that. When you look at, I'm going to pull this up. When you look at all the central figure people in the Bible, you got Moses, you got Noah, you got David, you got Old Testament, wonderful stories, Abraham, Joseph. What stands out to me about Jesus at this time is that Jesus was by far the most interested in growing other people. That doesn't take away from the faith of David or the faith of Noah. I mean, goodness gracious, incredible faith, incredible obedience to God's instructions. But Jesus was extremely concerned with growing and instructing other people. And lo and behold, he's preaching and healing people, and then he tells his disciples, go preach and heal people. Do what I'm doing. Don't just be on the receiving end of a bunch of instruction. Go out there and start tutoring the way I've tutored you. Isn't that something? And then we get this decisive change in the New Testament. The flavor of it is very different. You got the early disciples, James, Peter, Paul, and they're talking about helping one another. Come on, y'all. Help a brother out, right? Help a sister out. And here's a little tangent. Did you know the slang bro? Hey, bro. Well, did you know that comes from brother? And do you know where that started? Do you know where he's a brother? Do you know where that slang comes from? It comes from Christianity. It comes from the early Christian church, which really saw each other as brothers and sisters. And, if you see somebody genuinely as a brother or a sister, you are interested in their growth. You are interested in, hey, I want to see you get stronger, better, and able to overcome the things of life, overcome the resentments, overcome betrayal, overcome the disappointments, pick up and get going, the determination, become stronger. I want to see you grow in all of these ways. That's a real family member. So Satan's culture is very different. He likes to pretend he's got a heavenly idea and trick a lot of people. But we, just tolerating each other, we don't tolerate a child we love. We want to see them grow. And Jesus is creating this culture right in the beginning with his disciples. And now check out some of the Bible verses from those early disciples. It paints that picture. In the book of James, James says, confess to your brother. Confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you may be healed. Hey, get together. Start praying for each other so that you guys can be healed. Peter says, as each person has received a gift, use it to serve one another. So use your gift Use what God gave you to serve others. Look at Paul here. Therefore, encourage one another and build one another up. Build one another up. Let's build each other up, people. And Disciple John says, love others. If you don't love others, then you don't know God. So what kind of culture is this building? This is a culture of building up others. We have to be interested in building up others. That's a huge component of being like Jesus. That's a huge component of feeling the way God feels. He wants to build us up into people that are super powerful, that will never be tempted by Satan again, that will never be easily just distracted or numbing out or getting materialistic and selfish. We got to become bigger and stronger people. So I see, and let's just take a magnifying glass on this. These disciples are writing and saying these incredible things. They haven't been declared, they haven't been given their sainthood yet. They're not high and mighty. These are low. Some of these guys are kind of lowly guys. I think Paul was a tent maker. Do you know any super bougie, prestigious tent makers around here? It's not like they were on these giant thrones in cathedrals or anything like that. They were just humble disciples. And I see that, brothers and sisters, that is exactly the parallel of you and me right at this time. We're just disciples. We're just, which just means to study. So don't get thrown off by the word disciple. It just means we're studying how to be more like Jesus. Better, a deeper heart for humanity. So, we can already take the authority to care to develop another person, even if we haven't figured out all the answers. Doing so will heal them and me at the same time. That's a pretty incredible concept. Jesus' ministry was only 3 years. It's not even long enough for some of these guys to get their bachelor's degree with Jesus. A bachelor's degree costs 4 years, right? Normally. And a master's another 2, and a PhD another 4. And people go to these schools for more than a decade. Jesus only taught these guys for about 3 years, and then bam, they're on fire. They experience Jesus with the resurrection. They're experiencing Jesus in the Spirit and the Holy Spirit, and they're on fire, and they're writing these beautiful passages in the New Testament that affect millions and billions of people for thousands of years. That's kind of incredible, is it not? They didn't go to school for 20 years with the Messiah. They had a short taste, and they said, let's start helping and building up others. So I think I got to tell myself, what am I waiting around for? How many years? It's been about 5 years since I've been kind of interested in ministry. How many years are we going to be spiritual, but not care about other people's growth? I think that time is now. It doesn't matter if you've been in this mindset, or if you've only been praying for 2 weeks, or whatever it is. Let's change our mindset. Serve others right now. Build up others right now. There's no need to wait. And this is how I think we can start developing a more rapid growth in us, when we don't get so consumed with me and I don't feel God and I don't know my purpose. Yes, it's good to reflect. Yes, it's good to go inward, pray. Yes, it's good to heal. Yes, it's good to have this direct listen to God's voice in your mind. Absolutely big things and key things. But let's not just stop right there. We need to also turn around and build others up. And it's only in doing that part that we're really going to really feel by experience the heart of God. Doesn't that make sense? I think somebody asked me in my early years of being a pastor, I I'm coming to service. He said it very directly. He said, I'm coming to service because I want to know how to feel God more. And I was so new to it that I didn't have a straight answer or quick answer for him. But in my older years, I'm a parent now, and I've been studying and thinking about all this for a long time, and I'm realizing the quick answer to how to feel God is to start serving, and not just serving, but to care about their growth. If you want to feel the joy and also the agony of what God might be going through every day, why don't I take one person and think and care about what it is they can do to grow, and how can I facilitate it? And that's actually kind of a journey that takes a lot of spiritual maturity, wouldn't you say? What if it doesn't happen fast enough? What if they're stubborn and don't want to listen to your ideas? What if it takes them a long time to get over their preconceptions about things? And then doesn't God have to deal with us that way all the time? So, just to wrap up here, the most loving thing we can do is to love people the way a parent would. And that is to care about somebody's growth. That is not the culture Satan wants. Satan wants to trick us into so many different ideologies, but they only preach a little part. They only preach tolerate others, or accept others, or you are beautiful. And there's parts missing here, and that it becomes very self-centered, and it becomes less interested about people's actual growth and ability to change and grow. We can become the culture that Jesus really, really clearly lays out is become interested and prioritize people's growth. That's what we got to do. And so actually, I'm just using this message as a way to give you a little heads up that on the living room, especially on the website, we're going to have a small group format at some point. I'm going to be formulating it over the next coming months, so it might be a little while, but I want to call it the greenhouse. We need to have an environment in our heart, in our home, that grows people. Whether that's just me and my spouse or me and my kids, let's start there. But at some point, let's bring one person into my greenhouse. I'm growing a little bit. Let me bring one person into that greenhouse and talk with them every week and see if I can be a guide using the spiritual tools I've been given. So that's a project coming up, the greenhouse. That's going to be a section of our living room project here. And I really think that, instead of thinking about, well, I'm not, and this is a personal confession, I was never excited about the idea of go out and witness to the world, Oh God, I don't want to just live on a street corner preaching to everybody or talk to hundreds and hundreds of people at a time, and I think it's too overwhelming. But when I think about, can I just talk to one person every week or every other week and see if I could sort of coach or mentor that person in whatever phase of life they happen to be in? Yes, I think I could do that. And I think that would actually be fun, because then I'd make a new friend. I'd have somebody with some common base with me, common interest with me. So this is the real idea behind the culture of Jesus. And I think it helps explain, why did Jesus say where two or more are gathered, there I'll be? Is that some kind of just religious or spiritual phenomena? Well, actually, if you think about it this way, it could make a little more sense. When you're on your own, you can pray really well, and sometimes you can pray some ridiculous things too, right? Like you driving by and you see the Mega Millions sign that says $900 million lotto, and you might do a little prayer to God. Oh God, please let me win that lotto, and I'll do so many good things for you. Sadly, I have pretty much half-heartedly said these kind of prayers. Just give me that mountain of money, God, and I'll do it. But, when you're with another person, let's say you're praying at a table or at a gathering with more than two people or more than just you, would you pray that same prayer about the lotto? I don't think so. You would find some kind of common thing that we can all agree on, and then pray about that. So the principle behind where two or more are gathered, because there are more than one person there, it means that your prayer is unselfish. When you have an unselfish prayer, the Spirit of Jesus is right there. That's what that Bible verse means. So we can extrapolate that to say, I've got to have an unselfish life. For every time I think about, wow, I'd like to be a master, I'd like to be advancing in my life, we should also have a thought. I wonder if I can find the right person to help them advance a step in their life. So take that with you, brothers and sisters. This is just a thought. It's something I need to be working on. And I definitely want to create the system on the greenhouse section of the living room. And maybe we can all do a small group together. Maybe we'll just be on these groups together for a little while and see if we can't be helping one another. Let's build each other up. Don't worry if you're not feeling qualified. You are, because you have a direct connection to God through your original mind and through your conscience. That's all for this week, and we'll see you next time. God bless.